I just wanted to show you where my dog chooses to lay when I am recording my videos and why he is forever shaking the camera. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to haul some books. I took a lot of books to the Bice Trade for trade credit and came back with a lot. I also have like my book of the month books, my aardvark books, and a couple that I picked up at Books A Million a few days ago. Let's go ahead and start with what I picked up from the Bice Trade because I have a ton. Okay, first book from the Bice Trade is Loot by Jennifer Thorne. I'm going to read you the blurb that got my attention. It says, Loot is as alluring as it is terrifying. Thorne's prose is exquisite, her storytelling masterful, the setting a haunting character in itself. I wanted to savor every passage, but I was desperate to see who the island would claim next. I devoured this book. Now, I've heard mixed reviews on this, but that kind of grabbed my attention and made me think maybe there's like a gothic element to this. As you guys know, I really love gothic novels, so it intrigued me enough to go ahead and pay the $10 for it at the Bice Trade. Next, I got This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada. I do believe that this is YA, but it sounded really good. Katarina Agata is a hacker. She can cripple mainframes and crash through firewalls, but that's not what makes her special. In Kat's world, people are also implanted with technology to recode their DNA, allowing them to change their bodies in any way they want. And Kat happens to be a gene hacking genius. That's all I really wanted to know. That's what caught my attention. And I haven't heard anything about this, but I do like books that are similar to this, so I would like to see if this plays out well for me. Also, trade credit, I paid $1 for it, so if it doesn't work out for me, not such a big deal, but it sounds really good and I really like the cover. I don't know why. Next, I picked up Bindlepunk Bruja. I do know Bruja means witch, and so I saw the flapper girl on the front and read Bruja and was like, okay. I've heard a couple people talk about this, and from what I remember, I don't remember exactly who talked about this, but I remembered them saying that they really enjoyed it and it was a really fun book. And they went on to continue with the story. It says, Boardwalk Empire meets the Vanishing Half with a touch of Earth magic in this sexy, action-packed historical fantasy set in the golden 20s. So, and inspired by Mexican folktale. So I'm pretty excited to get into this. That's all I really needed to know about it. And I think I could really like it. Then I picked up Court of the Vampire Queen. Now this is exciting for me because I've read Neon Gods. I know what to expect from Katie Robert. I'm looking forward to this though because the person who sold me on it said that the characters are based on favorite vampires in history. Damon Salvatore, Spike, and who was the other one? Oh, Dimitri. To everyone who was Team Damon, Team Spike, and far too into Dmitry Belikov. So yes. And I do know that this is polyamorous, so I'm very excited. This is a bind up of the trilogy, but every time I talk about vampires or vampire romances, this comes up. So I just bought the bind up of the 3 books. So when I posted my haul that had, I believe it's Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward, everybody asked me had I read The Last House on Needless Street. And I was like, no, I haven't. And they're like, oh my gosh, it's her best work, you know, blah, 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 going on and on about it. And so I found it at the Bice Trade today and was like, okay, I'll go ahead and give it a shot. I do know that this is very dark though. And I do know that trigger warnings need to be paid attention to, but I'm very excited to see her most lauded work because now I have her most lauded and the one that's very divisive. So I just kind of want to get into this. And it's one of those books that's like on all-time top horror lists, all-time favorite horrors, things like that. And so I want to get into this and see if I like it. Because I'm also starting a horror book club, if you guys have missed the announcement that I posted in the community tab. So I needed to pick up some more horror, right? And on that note, I also have The Luminous Dead by Caitlin Starling. A thrilling atmospheric debut with intense drive of the Martian and gravity and the creeping dread of annihilation, in which a carver on a foreign planet finds herself on a terrifying psychological and emotional journey for survival. So I have had the audio of this for quite some time and I keep forgetting about it. So this is my shelf trophy to remind me that I need to read the book, but I also could add it as one of our horror options later down the line. I picked this one up knowing it was fairly divisive, and a few people have told me I will probably like it, but a couple of others have told me that I won't. But I wanted to go ahead and give it a shot, and that is Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. It says haunting, immersive, and seething with dark magic. That makes me very excited because that quote is by Alexis Henderson. She wrote Year of the Witching, which is one of my favorite books. And then it says, brimming with romance and gilded with danger, Wild and Wicked Things is a heady lyrical gem of a book by Hannah Witten. So there's a lot of people that I really love who have quoted this book or been quoted on this book. And it makes me think that I might like it. In a world of 1920s decadence and excess, Francesca May's irresistible debut weaves a dazzling tale of dark magic, romance, and murder. So we'll see. We'll see if I like it. It's probably going to go on a soon-to-be TBR because it is one that I've had my eye on for a little while, but have heard some divisive things, like I said, so I haven't really invested in it until now. Okay, and I was taking my kiddo and my niece through the YA section, and I came across There Will Come a Darkness by Katie Rose Poole. It says, the age of darkness approaches. 5 lives stand in its way. Who will stop it or unleash it? I haven't heard anything about this. I remember seeing the cover quite a bit, so maybe it was in some kind of book box, but I didn't get it. And I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but it sounded like it would be completely up my alley. Obviously, the gothic look of the front cover makes me want to read it just because I'm a sucker for a pretty cover. And these are like my colors here. So I hope that I like this. Like I said, I haven't heard anything about it. The deceiver ensnares the world with lies. To death's pale hand the wicked fall. That which sleeps in the dust shall rise. And in their wake will come a darkness. Ooh, it's got a really pretty map. But it sounds like it could be up my alley. It sounds very interesting. And like I said, I picked it up in the YA section, so I could have seen this probably in an Owl Crate or a Luma Crate or something like that. And just, that's where I recognize it from. But I really haven't heard anybody talk about it. And one that I've heard everybody talk about, and I do have the audiobook for it, that would be The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. I actually have had a couple people ask me, like, I thought you owned that book. I thought you read that book. And I'm like, no, I've never owned it before. Never read it. But it was one that came out in the Sapphic Trifecta, the Jasmine Throne. And there was another one. I don't remember which one, but they all came out around the same time. They got dubbed the Sapphic Trifecta. And I read the other 2. So that's probably why people think that I have read this before, but I haven't. And I'm excited to get to it. I've heard mixed things about it. I've heard I might not like it, but that I might like it. And if you don't know, this is a fairly popular fantasy trilogy. And it says, Touraine is a soldier, stolen as a child and raised to kill and die for the Empire. She owes loyalty to only her fellow conscripts. But now her company has been sent back to her homeland to stop a rebellion, and the ties of blood may be stronger than she thought. Luca needs a turncoat, someone desperate enough to tiptoe the bayonet's edge between treason and orders, someone who can sway the rebels towards peace. While Luca focuses on what really matters, getting her uncle off her throne, through assassinations and massacres in bedrooms and war rooms, Touraine and Luca will haggle over the price of a nation, but some things aren't for sale. So I'm looking forward to this quite a bit. Now, I did something that was kind of dumb. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I basically told myself that if I don't like the first book in this series, these will probably go pretty fast on my Pango, so I might as well at least invest in my store. That was my reasoning behind picking up a second book to a series I haven't read yet and didn't like the first try of this author. So I have heard I will really like The Sword Defiant. It's a rebellion story, it's a revenge story, and so I do think that that has more of a chance of catching my attention and keeping my attention than the original series that Gareth Hanrahan wrote. So I'm hoping to enjoy this. I'm hoping that it will be buzzwordy enough for me, but I do have my suspicions that it could not work for me, and I bought the second book anyway. And then I picked up Alice by Christina Henry. I have Lost Boy somewhere, but I have never owned this one. And I've been trying to get into more horror, like I said, and I do think that this could be up my alley. I really like Alice in Wonderland retellings, and this one's going to be a creepy Alice in Wonderland retelling. I've always found Alice in Wonderland creepy, but I also really like creepy things, so that doesn't surprise me that I would want to go this route in reading a Alice in Wonderland retelling. A Psychotic Journey Through the Bowels of Magic and Madness by Brahm. So I got this to give Christina Henry a try. And like I said, the horror book club, maybe we will tackle this one. Don't know yet. And for one that I have heard is just off the wall insane. I've avoided it in the past, but when I saw it today, I just had to pick it up. And so I want to know, but I don't want to know. And that is Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. I have heard horrific things about this book. I have heard that it is unhinged, that it is graphic, and I just want to know. My curiosity has been piqued and I want to know. I've also heard that it deals a lot with depression, and that it can be pretty bleak and pretty dark. So we will see. And then I found this beautiful copy of The Hunger by Amakatsu. Now, I know nothing about this, but I know it's Amakatsu's most famous work, and I have read other works by her, The Deep being one of them, and I really, really like her writing style. So I just wanted to go ahead and pick this up based on the author. And again, this is her most famous work, her most popular work, and I just want to get into it. And gripping reimagining of one of America's most haunting human disasters. Oh, the Donner Party with a supernatural turn. Interesting. Also, this is a former library copy. So there are some interesting little tidbits about the book as far as that goes. Like the cover is a little bit sturdier. There are stamps on the end. And I kind of just love that the library card is still in here. I don't know why. It just makes me happy. But I do love getting books like this at the Bice Trade, where you never know what you're going to get, or, you know, you always find something interesting in them. I sold a book to a friend, and they found a check inside the book that I sold them that was not from me. It was what I'd found at the Bice Trade previously. And so those stories are always fun, and finding things like this just always make me a little bit happy. And last from the Bice Trade is The Rogue King by Abigail Owen. Now, you guys might recognize that author. The Game's God's Play is by Abigail Owen, and I loved that. I read that recently and gave it 5 stars. I really like books with competition, but I also really liked Abigail Owen's writing. And I know it's like divisive. There are some people who love it and some people who absolutely hate it. But it was one of those books that was like candy. You just keep eating it up. And so when I saw this at the Bice Trade, I was like, let's go ahead and read something else by Abigail Owen. So I picked this up. And then at Books A Million, I found this beautiful copy of To Gaze Upon Wicked Gods by Molly X. Chang. I've heard, again, mixed things about this, but I really love a lot of the Asian fantasy I have been reading lately, and I just wanted more. I need to get the second book to God in the Gumiho, but I missed out on the Fairy Loot edition, and so I'm going to have to deal with the fact that they don't match. So I might end up just listening to it on audio, because you know how much it irritates me when my series don't match each other, my books don't line up, or, you know, I end up getting a paperback and a hardback. It drives me crazy. So I just wanted more Asian fantasy, and so I picked this one up. My stack is getting precarious over here. It's about to fall over. There we go. And then a second book in a series. I picked up A Theory of Dreaming by Ava Reed. I have the first book over here. Let's just show them off together because they look beautiful together. A Study in Drowning. This is the second book. Look how beautiful they are together. I absolutely loved A Study in Drowning. And so whenever I saw that they had a matching edition of A Theory of Dreaming, I knew I had to own it. And I'm very excited to get to it. And then a book, again, I've had on audio for way too long and needed a shelf trophy to remind me that I owned the audiobook. I have Seven Faceless Saints by M.K. Lobb. This is a dark fantasy, but YA, and I've heard very good things about it. I've heard I'm really going to like it, and I haven't actually picked it up yet. I don't know why. The saints were merciful. All the stories said so, but the stories also said they craved blood. All I really need is a good tagline and a good cover, and I'm sold anyway. But like I said, I've heard from a few people that I will really enjoy this one. And from a book of the month, I have Immortal Consequences. Oh my gosh, look at this beauty by Ivy Marie. 6 rivals, 1 victor. Eternity is only the beginning. You guys know I can't resist a competition. And Book of the Month is now doing sprayed edges. I love it, but I also am the biggest fan of pink and black together. And look at that. Look at that. I mean, I just love it. This entire cover art, it feels like it was made for me. It is 100% up my alley. I can't wait to get into this. And like I said, competition, romantasy. This has some dark academia, so we will see if that works for me, but I could not pass this up because it's just so pretty. And like I said, so many buzzwords. Even though there's one standing out that is not a buzzword, it's an anti-buzzword, I'm still going to give it a shot. And we have Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. Who saw this coming? Nobody, right? I am not the biggest fan of T. Kingfisher's fantasy, but I do always like her horror. And this one seems like it's going to toe the line of both of those. Healer Anja regularly drinks poison, not to die, but to save, seeking cures for those everyone else has given up on. But a summons from the king interrupts her quiet, herb-obsessed life. His daughter Snow is dying, and he hopes Anja's unorthodox methods can save her. Aided by a taciturn guard and a narcissistic cat and a passion for the scientific method, Anja rushes to treat Snow, but nothing seems to work. That is until she finds a secret world hidden inside a magic mirror. This dark realm may hold the key to what is making Snow sick, or it might be the thing that kills them all. It sounds really good. It sounds really good, and I'm going to give it a shot. All right, and for my aardvark, I know you guys are probably expecting horror, but I didn't go the horror route this month. The horror that was offered this month was not exactly appealing to me. There were some very anti-buzzwords in a couple of the ones that I was looking at. But I did go ahead and pick up Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. And it says, older, wiser, deadlier. A retired serial killer's quiet life is upended by an unexpected visitor. To protect her secret, there's only one option left. What's another murder? So that's all, again, all I needed to pick this one up. I've heard Samantha Downing is quite an amazing author. I've heard that from a couple people. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I always say that, but I always mean it when I'm looking forward to something. And then I got The Once and Future Me by Melissa Pace. One says, dark matter meets Girl Interrupted in this gripping psychological thriller about a young woman teetering on the edge of reality. Virginia, 1954, when a woman wakes on a patient transport bus arriving at Hanover State Psychiatric Hospital, she remembers nothing of her life before that moment. None of the dark things she must have seen and done that forged her into a skillful and cunning fighter she is. Doctors tell her she is Dorothy Fraser, a paranoid schizophrenic committed for violent delusions. She's certain they are wrong until disturbing visions of a dystopian future in which frantic scientists urge her to complete the mission and save mankind begin to invade her reality. So this sounds amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. I really, really want to get this on a near future TBR because I think I will really enjoy this one. And then I went in the completely opposite direction. Well, still kind of unhinged and out there a little bit, but I got Moderation by Elaine Castillo. And this one is about a couple who have like a virtual relationship and they meet at work via this virtual place and things start to go haywire. Moderation imagines the future of big tech and it's ambitious, but at its heart, this bold, inventive novel is a love story, a romance of repressed longings, class conflicts, and unruly desires. Moderation reveals the world-building power of love, positing that the most transformative, futuristic, immersive story of all is one that speaks to our ancient hopes, that harm can be met with repair, grief can be met with succor, and two people from entirely different universes can save each other and perhaps the world. Sounded interesting enough, and I really wanted to give it a shot. But that is it for me today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!